to the Makeover Monday Challenge, a weekly challenge brought to you by the Paper Crafters Library and Sunny Stampin' Studios. The purpose of Makeover Mondays is to help you learn how to take the ideas and inspiration you find on the internet and make it your own. Now this challenge is strictly a work from your stash challenge, so every Monday I'm going to take a project I found on the internet and show you how I use it for inspiration and how I make it my own using supplies from my own stash. Now your challenge is to do the same, and I'll give you more details at the end of this video. First off, here's today's inspiration piece, a simple and striking Christmas card by Miley Bells, another one of the Paper Tray Inc. design team members. Now I haven't followed Miley's blog for long, but one of the things that really appeals to me about her style of stamping is how clean and simple it is, and that she incorporates some really unique design elements. As I show you my card and how to make it, I'll share with you how I drew inspiration from Miley's piece to create my own. If you take a look at Miley's card, you'll notice that she used a label that extends into the card. It's cut off, it's aligned with the edge of the left-hand side of the card, and then there's a decorative edge on the right-hand side. Now for my card, I decided to use one of these Spellbinders Shapeabilities Fancy Tags 3, and this is the one that I used. So I went ahead and I die cut it out of the Basil Maraschino cardstock. Now instead of having mine extending past the edge and then the edge of the tag lining up with the edge of my pattern paper, I decided to center it onto a piece of pattern paper close to the bottom. Now, if you look at Miley's card, you'll notice that she just did her tag on top of the card base. I opted to place my label on top of a piece of pattern paper. So to stick it down, I'm just going to be using some of my Thermoweb double-sided adhesive. And I just want to get a little bit here at the end, on the end pieces, just to make sure I hold that sort of fancy scroll work portion of the die in place. And I'm going to center and stick it along the bottom of this piece. Now one of the things that I forgot to mention was I die cut and embossed this label using my Spellbinders Grand Caliber. So I've positioned this label so it is about ½ an inch up from the bottom edge of the card. Now on Miley's card, she used two ornaments that she stamped and die cut and used those on her card. For mine, I'm also using ornaments, but instead of two, I've decided to use just one ornament. And you can see this is the ornament I've chosen. Because I'm not putting a greeting on my card, I chose an ornament that has a greeting incorporated into the ornament. And this is from Stampin' Up's Delightful Decoration stamp set. And I've chosen Old Olive Classic ink, which coordinates with the colors in my pattern paper. So I'm just making sure that my stamp is very well inked all over. And then I'm going to stamp it on a piece of Basil Vanilla, or I think it's called Ivory Smooth cardstock. So there you can see what that looks like. To punch it out, I'm going to be using Stampin' Up's Ornament Punch. So I'm just centering my stamped image in the window of my punch, and as you can see it leaves a nice little border all around, and I'm punching like so. So there you can see what that looks like. So my next step is to punch a hole at the top of this piece. So here I've got a 1/16 of an inch handheld circle punch, and I'm just going to use it to punch a hole at the top of the ornament like so. I'm then going to take a piece of gold elastic cord, and you can get this gold elastic cord at most fabric stores. It comes in different thicknesses, and I'm going to stick it to the back of this piece using a little bit of my double-sided tape or Scotch tape. It doesn't really matter which of these you use. You just want to keep it from sliding out. I'm then going to take a couple Stampin' Dimensionals or pieces of dimensional foam, place it on the back of my ornament, and I've straddled them on either side of the end of my gold cord. I'm then going to take my ornament and I'm going to center it on this label from Spellbinders that I had previously die cut and placed on my pattern paper. So there you can see I now have my ornament attached, and now it's just a matter of flipping this over and then trimming my gold cord. And you just want to make sure that as you're feeding this over the edge of the pattern paper, it doesn't get all twisted. And then I'm going to take another piece of my double-sided tape and just place it over the end to make sure that it stays in place. So at this point now, before I finish embellishing my card, I'm going to center and stick it to my card front. I'm using a piece of basil maraschino cardstock, which I cut to 4 1/4 by 11, and then I scored it at 5 1/2 and folded it to create a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch card. Now the pattern paper, I forgot to mention this earlier, is 4 by 5 1/4, and the pattern paper comes from the Echo Park Season's Greetings collection. So I'm just using some of my Thermoweb double-sided adhesive to center and stick this piece onto my card, leaving an even border all around, like so. I'm going to be topping off my ornament with a little bow that I already tied using my Stampin' Up! Old Olive 1/8 of an inch taffeta ribbon. So I simply cut an 8-inch piece, I tied it into a bow, and then I trimmed the ends at an angle. So to stick it onto my ornament, I'm going to be using a glue dot. So I'm just pressing the center of my bow to the glue dot. It pulls it off this backing, and then I'm sticking it over the hole from which the cord was fed through. So there you can see we now have this cute little bow at the top of our ornament. So for Miley's card, she left her ornaments decorated with a bow and kept it simple like that, hanging from the cord. As I mentioned earlier, I opted for only one ornament instead of two. I did keep the bow, but as a last touch for both my ornament and the pattern paper that I've added here, I'm going to be adding some rhinestones. Now I had these rhinestones that were left over as part of this Easter kit that I bought from Stampin' Up! A few years ago, and I never ended up using the rhinestones, and I've just kept it in my stash. So they're a nice size to embellish my ornament and to embellish my pattern paper, but they're the wrong color. I didn't want clear, I wanted something that was more of an olive color. So I'm taking my Copic sketch marker, this is G99, and I'm coloring a bunch of my rhinestones. Now there's several different sizes. There's a very tiny one, a medium one, and this larger one. And I'm going to color only 2 of the smaller ones, and I'm coloring them simply by brushing the tip of my Copic marker over the rhinestone. And then I'm going to color all these larger sized ones because I'm going to be using these for the background as well as putting a couple on the ornament. So I'm going to color them with my Copic marker, and then I'm going to just let them air dry for a few moments. So I'm going to start by taking the 2 smallest rhinestones and placing them over top of this little dotted pattern that's on my ornament already. So I'm placing 2 of the smaller ones side by side and then 1 of the medium ones. And then this little dot here I'm also going to be covering with one of these medium rhinestones. Finally, if you look at the pattern paper, you see it has these little circles incorporated into the pattern. So I'm going to take my remaining rhinestones and I'm going to scatter them randomly over top of some of these circles that you see in the design of the pattern paper. So there you have it. As you can see here, I've finished adding a few rhinestones into the background of the paper and embellished my ornament, and our project is now finished. So now it's your turn. So here's how the challenge works. Create your own project using Miley's for inspiration. Now I chose to create a card, but you could use her inspiration to create any kind of a project you like. And remember, part of the Makeover Monday challenge is to learn to make it your own. So don't feel like your project or your layout that you choose has to look like hers. You can simply take elements of her project and incorporate it into yours. Now once you've created your project, post it on your blog or online photo gallery. And then come back to the Paper Crafters Library blog and look for the Makeover Monday challenge post. Scroll to the bottom of that post and there you're going to see an In Links button. When you click on that button, you'll see a spot where you can paste the URL which directly links to your project, whether you have it on your blog or your online photo gallery. Now, if you're watching this video from somewhere other than my blog, there's a video description section, and there you will find a direct link to the Paper Crafters Library Makeover Monday blog post where you can enter your project into the challenge. I will draw one name from all the participants on Monday, December the 19th, and the winner will receive a digital tutorial of your choice from the Sunny Stampin' Store valued at $25.